Welcome back here at VMC Planet Radio. You're still with Mr. Stan and Vision the Magandi. That's what he calls himself, right?
Yes. they know what it means out there. So each and every month I'm going to explain what it means.
Yeah. You know what? We are with Dr. Mabila Mathebula here at VMC Planet Radio. If you want to get hold of us, it's 062-450-8619. You can send us your voice notes, and you can also SMS us. You can also send us the WhatsApp if they want to maybe ask questions.
And actually engage with them live on the show.
Exactly.
Let's
So
do that.
when you send those messages, we'll read them loud, and we'll also send them to him if there are too many. Right?
I believe there'll be a lot for Dr. Mathebula actually.
Yeah, I don't know why you wanted to say Mister,
You know, I heard an M. my brain heard an M,
Yeah.
but my tongue changed it to a D fast.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you see, before we get to the book, because we're still talking about the man himself, right?
Yes.
Now, in 1976, you did what is called, for people to understand, it's like ball boy, right? You go to the golf course, you use, you carry that bag. They call you a caddy. So you did that in 1976.
Yeah, well, it was the influence of society. It was where I was born. Boys used to, to go to the golf club to supplement their family income. That's what we used to do. And then on Saturdays, Sundays, we'd actually go to the golf course. Now, on the same day, 1976, we're not writing exams. Now, I went to the golf course. And then as I was on the bus, I heard people say, hey, abantwana bethu, hey, abantwana bethu, bana barona. I didn't understand what was actually happening until I alighted from the station, from Chawelo station. Now I found people taking alcohol from a bottle store, they're saying black power. I didn't even understand what was happening. And then I went home, my parents were there. 20 minutes after that, I had, some shootings, and people died. That was the rude awakening. That's what I used to do. And sadly, the people that I went to the golf course together, they didn't go to school as far as standard 8. They all, fell by the wayside. I was the only one who was actually fortunate, not through my intelligence, but through God's providence.
Now, let's just say, I want to talk about being supplementing, the family income at the time, right? Now, on a typical day, how much would you make on a golf course?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm glad you brought it up. I would make R2.50. R2.50 was a lot of money.
I can imagine, yeah.
But because by then a loaf of bread was 9 cents. Now, like if maybe you factor that in terms of time value for money, it was a lot of money.
Oh, now you see, when you say 9 cents, I'm just thinking about Vision now. And to say, I don't think he can picture a loaf of bread being 9 cents, right? Because if you look at 9 cents, what can you get for 9 cents now, Vision?
Nothing.
So and then you went to Lemane High School.
Yeah.
And at Lemane, you met Professor Roth there. Am I pronouncing the surname right?
Dr. Roth, yeah.
Oh, okay. Is Dr. Roth an English or an Afrikaans person?
Afrikaans.
Oh, okay. Now, I like the fact that you managed to even stay in contact with them.
Yeah, I stayed in contact. I think she systematized my thinking in terms, Dr. Roth was a person who was very, liberal. When there was actually oppression, she realized that black people were oppressed and she sided with the black people. And also during her teachings, the way she taught us, she liberated our minds. And then for this reason, after school, I tried to touch base with her. And then we eventually met, and then we collaborated. And we wrote one of the books, Life Orientation, grade 11. If you have got a son who's still at school, that son or daughter is using that book.
Vision might have used that book. Life orientation.
I believe I might have.
Yes.
You know, for sure, I'm one of the
Lucky
leaders.
ones.
Yes, I'm lucky, very lucky.
Exactly. Now
I get
you're
to meet
sitting
all of
here.
them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Now I want to talk a little bit about, before we get into how you were influenced by, but there, it seems like there were a lot of activities that were going on there at Lemane.
Yeah, indeed, the way.
Mm.
And I think besides actually Dr. Roth, I also met good friends.
Mm.
You know, I met a friend called, he's a pastor now, Pastor Chris Mugobi, as well as Dr. Musa Foromeri. Those were very dedicated students, and then I became their friends, and I had no choice but to join them. You know, they say if you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
then I joined them. They were very, dedicated, and then I learned dedication from them. And beyond, and besides that, there was also a social element. If I didn't have soap or I didn't have, something, I'll get it from Chris or I'll get it from, Dr. Furume. It was, that's how we actually grew together. And that's why I realized that you can't actually succeed alone. The person would actually say to you that this is my success, and then I've accomplished because I'm intelligent and the like. Such a person is a liar. Most individuals' accomplishments are the result of effort on the part of many, and mine is no exception.
Thank you. In fact, thank you so much for saying that, because sometimes I think that is the reason why some people become arrogant in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Generally. Now, I think I want to stay at Lemane for quite a bit, right?
Yeah, at liberty.
And then, you spoke of the greatest teachers. Now, at Lemane, you used to also do Afrikaans poetry.
Yeah, no, we were taught, Afrikaans by the Afrikaner. I think that was an irony, because in 1976 we were fighting Afrikaans. Now I go to Lemana, I'm being taught Afrikaans by the owners of the language, and I fell in love with the language to an extent that I was invited to Afrikaans schools to teach Afrikaans poetry. And one of the Afrikaners said to me, "Es nie jou moedertaal nie, es my moedertaal." And I said to him, it's nie my moedertaal nie, maar it's die levende taal. Because I dissected the poetry of Afrikaners. I told them that in our poetry there are three sections. There is three themes. The first theme is about family. If you read most of the Afrikaans poems, you'd actually find that there's an element of family, there is an element of God, and there's an element of the environment. You can take any poem, Ankie Krop, ek skryf 'n gedig sonder fancy, sonder woorde wat ry, net 'n gedig. It's about the family.
Oh, okay.
You talk about Olga Kresh, die legende van die Sabbat. It's about God. You talk about the stem van Suid-Afrika, die bron van ons hemel, die diepte van ons see. It's about the environment. Now, each and every poem that you read in Afrikaans, you're going to get the three themes. And I told them about the themes, of their poetry.
So your love for poetry was developed, but there's something that I read about you that I like. You and I found it to be very true, in a true sense of the word. You said, unlike in other schools that you attended, when you were being taught either English, biology, Vescad, and all of those things, you will be taught in African language instead of being taught in the language that that subject is supposed to be taught on.
Yeah, I think it was in Rupambeta where I went to school. There we had teachers who were underqualified and unqualified. I still remember one of the teachers was teaching us the question with the 10, and then he said to us, "Are you staying? Aren't you?" And when I went to Lemana before our teacher, Miss Laresh, and then I put up my hand and I said, "Are you staying? aren't you? And she took me to the office and I received punishment because I was not supposed to have said aren't you. I was supposed to say aren't you.
Oh, okay. So let's hold that thought. When we come back, you see, because we're talking to, he's a man of God, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a doctor. Now, the songs that we'll be playing here, let's be relevant, right?
Okay.
Now, first, I'm going to play a Killer G song, right? It's called Tsini Hamurena. It's a hip hop. It's a hip hop show, and it's a hip hop song, right?
Let's play it.
Now, obviously, in school, we get into being mischievous and all of those things. What type of mischievous you got into at Glenman? Is there anything you want to share with us? We would really love to hear that.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I think it's very important for people to understand what education is. Education is a process of bringing a child into proper adulthood.
Yes.
And then there was a time where I was not actually a proper adult.
Mm.
I still remember my friend and I'm talking about, Dr. Furumel.
Mm.
We are about to write English, final exam.
Mm.
But we went somewhere to have our wines.
Okay.
In the midst of exam.
Interesting, eh?
And we didn't study that weekend.
Huh?
And then we left the hostel without permission.
Okay.
And then we went to imbibe.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then we came back and the pastor, was left in the hostel,
Mm.
And then that's something that I thought of. And at times, there was something like gambling. We used to gamble and all those things.
Mm.
And I mean, for a person to be a better person, there must be some setbacks. I believe that for each and every success in life, there's been a failure.
Mm.
And for each and every breakthrough, there's been a setback.
Mm.
And then I had those things. And when I actually reflect, I don't actually regret because I think those activities systematize my thinking.
And I'm actually liking what you're saying because you see, it's every human has to actually learn, and I think in this case with all those what you said, those are quotables from this show Second to None. I think we must replay that part.
If we can repeat it, and then we extract the audio and play it again.
I think because we like quotations here, Dr. Mathebula, at VMC Planet Radio, especially in this show.
Do you want me to repeat it?
No, you don't have to repeat.
No.
We have it. We just wanted you to acknowledge the fact that we lack quotations. So the reason why I paused, I wanted it to sink in.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, and then you went to Vista University, and I think were you the first people to attended Vista University?
Yeah, Vista. I think I heard about Vista when I was in matric during our farewell function, or what they call matric dance. And someone spoke, the guest speaker spoke about Vista University. And then Vista was solely meant for black people. And I went to Vista out of heartfelt lack of alternative. But it was at Vista where my thinking also was systematized, because it's where I studied sociology, and then I understood the social dynamics of society. I understood social change. I understood the sociology of the family and many things. Because although it was meant for black people, I didn't actually allow that thing to oppress or suppress my thinking. Rather, I used it as an opportunity to advance myself as a person.
And then, whilst you were at Vista, you were reunited with your friend, Mr. Gabriel Baloyi.
Yeah, with Gabriel, we started school together, and then we met at Vista, and then, he was one of the brilliant students, from high school. But Yeah, and then also at varsity. But I also realized that there's a quantitative difference between brilliance at high school and brilliance in life. Because,
Okay.
there are some people who thought that they were very intelligent, only to find that there are some areas of intelligence. You've got emotional intelligence, you've got spiritual intelligence, you've got IQ, you've got social intelligence, and all those intelligence. Now, a person whose intelligence must be holistic. For example, when you talked, about vision, vision it's a specialist in terms of hip hop.
Oh yeah.
And the myth that I'm a writer or I'm a speaker or I'm a preacher and the like doesn't mean that I must not actually know hip hop. I need to be holistic and understand exactly what is happening around the world.
And guess what? Towards the end of the interview, we're going to quiz you about hip hop.
Oh my God!
We're going to quiz you. Now, there's the part that is so, about you that is so very interesting. And we're no longer having this type of Ubuntu, I think, nowadays, right? When you were at Vista, you were accommodated at Gabriel's house. How was it like to be accommodated and felt like you are part of the family?
Yeah, well, I think to me it was an eye-opener because, there was, like one was from a four-roomed house and then Gabriel was also from a four-roomed house, but, he was alone because his sisters were attending in one of the boarding schools.
Oh, okay.
Now there was time for us to study and engage. And then, I was there and then I was part and parcel of the family. I was assimilated. Being assimilated, it means that you are not actually discriminated against. You are no longer embraced or what. You are part and parcel of the family. And whatever the family goes through, you also go through. For example, I still remember there was an incident where, his nephew was actually involved in an accident and she died. And then we had to partake in that thing. You cry together, you laugh together because you have been assimilated. You are part and parcel of that family.
Of that family, which is actually a very beautiful thing, and I wish we still practice those things. Do you know the reason as to why maybe nowadays we no longer practice that Ubuntu type of a setup?
Well, I think there are so many reasons. Firstly, it's a question of socialization, how people are being socialized. I think we are being socialized to be individuals. But in the past, we were actually socialized to be part and parcel of society. They were actually, in the past, they were actually saying that
yes,
your child is not your child, but even the other person is, even the other child is your child. As a parent, you need to take, your role, in a child's life. But now we are so individualistic that we are looking at your children. You don't look at the child next door. I think it's our society, the way we socialize, our children to be more individualistic as opposed to be, a collective society.
There were times in your life where you assumed, when you were still at school, a role of a security guard. And you mentioned that you did not have any experience, no training whatsoever.
Yeah, well, it was during holidays. I got a job from another Gabriel, the late Gabriel Balowi. Well, may his soul rest in peace.
Indeed.
And then to be a security guard. And then the role was to look after white people's properties when they were on holiday. And then would actually be packed in a van with dogs and would be distributed at various places. And I worked for something like a month. And at the end of the month, when we were supposed to be paid, we were never paid.
Oh!
Those white people who actually employed us never paid us. But what I like about it, crisis is an opportunity. Because I said to myself that, you know what, I don't want to work as a security guard in future. I want to be something. That's why I had to soldier on to finish my matric. I used that crisis as my opportunity. If it never happened, probably if I was paid, I wouldn't have gone back to school. But because I was never paid, I had to go to school. And to me, crisis was an opportunity.
I actually like that analogy. Before we go into the book, right? You became a teacher, and then you taught at various schools. But there is a school that I cannot let us go without talking about it, which is PACE. I think it was one of the first, if I'm not mistaken, but you'll correct me, black private schools.
Yeah, well, I think what you need to understand about my career, whatever I did, I was never taught. You know, I became a teacher without any qualification in teaching. I became a broadcaster, journalist, without any qualification in journalism. I became an internal communications manager without even English 1 or communications 1. I became a safety manager without any course in safety management. I became a researcher without any researcher. Now, whatever I did in my life, I never had a qualification for it.
And you performed the job with aplomb.
Yeah. The thing is, the reason why I became a teacher, after matric, I was helping students in accounting. And then those students said to me, we don't have a teacher. We're going to talk to the principal to absorb you to be our teacher. That's how I became a teacher. You know, I didn't actually plan to go to teaching. And then I ended up working at Pace College. Pace was a wonderful school because the teachers who worked at Pace were very cultured. And Pace taught English as the first language. As a teacher, we were not allowed to speak in an African language. We were, even the students, they only spoke English. And we had our principal, Mr. Cambodia, the Professor Camboni. He spoke impeccable English.
Just like you, I think he had a lot of influence on you.
No, he's the one who influenced me because every day he would actually write something. I still remember there was a lady who got married, and then there was a book that he would actually write announcement. And then he said, Nomsa will be getting married on such and such a day. We congratulate her on her connubial cementation.
Now, sorry, before you go there, right? Okay. You heard the word is connubial cementation.
I heard it.
Connubial.
Yeah. Connubial.
Cementation.
Yeah. Now, okay, Mr. Mathebula is going to explain once, ne?
Yes.
So for you, so that you understand, I know what it means.
Oh, no problem, sister.
Yeah.
Mr.
Mathebula, I want you to school these young ones, ne? So that they understand what is it. What was your understanding when you saw him writing congratulations on your connubial cementation? What came to your mind?
Well, I immediately went, and looked up the word in the dictionary.
Oh, okay.
And then Kambule knew that whatever he said, I liked it because I became, his fan.
Okay, yes.
And then he knew, exactly. And also, it was not only Kambule, the teachers who there at Pace, they spoke, impeccable English. If you went at Pace and then your knowledge of English was sketchy, you'd be embarrassed.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, when graduates from the University of Lesotho, from the University of Swaziland, those people, I still remember the other time I said to Kambule, say, many students. And he said, no, a number of students.
A number of students. Hey.
Yeah, and that was actually a very good school, right? It has produced quite a number of very famous, if I can use the word, people. And anybody that went to that school, they always speak about that school with so much.
Nimrod is a product of Pace, amongst other people.
Oh, okay, yes. He speak about that school with so much affection. Yeah. All right. And then Mr. Mathebula became a journalist, right? But before we say anything, Mr. Mathebula, if you still remember the program Tiko Rashaka, I just want you to do us an intro, you know, how you used to do that.
Yeah, I used to be a journalist, a producer, as well as a program, facilitator for 3 radio services. For Radio Venda, Radio Tonga, and Radio Lobua by then. Yeah. Now, what do you want me to do?
The intro, how you will introduce yourself in the show.
In Tonga?
In Tonga, yes.
Okay, fine. I would actually say to them, Riperile bang serwai na am kela kana ngono kwa na watiko ashitlele na ngono kwa kama am kela Mabila Mathebula na monhla mina tinga tanda buko kungabona tatani Kiza la Kumede na bona Rogers Mashele itabala tinga tanda buko.
Experience.
You see, Muno kadiba one what Dr. Mathebula. Yeah, and then you went on to become, a safety. Was it a safety manager?
Yeah. Well, whilst a journalist, I also made a breakthrough because that the radio station was actually founded in 1966. I was the first journalist to interview the state president.
Oh yeah. In fact, we should go to that as well. All right. Yeah. Let's stay on that one. Because there are quite a number of people that you interview. I mean, first premiers of the democratic South Africa, opposition leaders as well, the likes of de Klerk. Now, how was it like interviewing such people?
Well, I was now used to the microphone, and it was after I won the Nobel Prize with Nelson Mandela. I interviewed him, and then it was actually simple because I used to interview people on a daily basis, and that program was also listened to by white people because I used to address issues such as affirmative action, empowerment, and everything. Now I had actually white followers who were actually listening into the station. Cyril Ramaphosa, I interviewed him, Bantu Lomisa, Shilowa, and so many people. I interviewed them.
Very interesting. I want us to get into the book, but before we get into the book now, I just want to play a song, right?
I am hallelujah, I am heaven sent. It is God I represent. Cross my heart and pray to God for what I want. I hope to get holy water on me, pouring overflowing so that I from a text. I'm repeat, I'm suicidal. If you wanna hang with me, another reason why I'm rich to death. Like I'm living on the zombie streets. I am something great. That when I died again, the one to resurrect. Writing stories, Moses with the text. I am something great.
Welcome back to VMC Planet Radio. The show is called Second to None. We're still chilling with Dr. Mabila Mathebula. Now, before we go into the book, right? Okay. It reads, Hosiamina, we are together. It is not signed off. And the next one says, I am enjoying the show, Mr. Stan. And the doctor there speaks funny. Okay. I don't know what does that mean though, but yeah. Okay, it is also not signed off. I don't want to say this number on air. The third one is from, okay, let me read it. Okay, there it goes. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Stan, and to your colleague. I am enjoying your great interview with Dr. Mathebula. Thanks and regards, Dr. Sopas. There's another one that just came in now. Okay, maybe we'll read it after. I see there's a message that is coming in. Yeah. Now, Dr. Mathebula, I don't know who Tlanganan is, but yeah, maybe you know. It's somebody who's actually listening.
Okay.
But the way the person wrote it, it's as if they actually know you. Now, Family Sundays at Home, a year of biblical lessons for African family. It's a book written by Dr. Mathebula. Now, Dr. Mathebula, what prompted you to write this book?
Yeah, it was not by design, but it was by default. You know, when the lockdown started, I decided to write something to encourage, you know, people who are nearest and dearest to me. And then I still remember, I think it was more prophetic, you know, the first message that I wrote, you know, on the day when the president actually announced the lockdown. I wrote about Noah and the ark. And then when I actually said to the people who are close to me that your ark, your house is your ark, don't leave the ark until the right time.
Okay.
And then it was merely to encourage people not to go out and contract the virus.
Okay.
And it was before, you know, people started going outside. I just warned, you know, sounded a warning in good faith. And then the following day I was prompted to write again.
Okay.
Now I found myself writing every day.
Yes.
Until I reached a stage whereby I realized that, you know, I'd written a lot.
Okay.
And then you know, people commented, you know, on my writings on a daily basis.
Okay.
And then I decided to go and see my editor. The person has been my editor for more than 20 years. And I said to him that I've got an idea because, you know, I've written so much. And then I'd like to convert this into a book. And I spoke to my editor about it. And then we converted everything into a book. And I actually found that the book is so huge that it's 201 pages.
Okay.
And then there is another one that is finished. There's a manuscript. You know, we'll start, you know, publishing that book. That one is based on pastors from African independent churches.
Okay. Now, let's talk about Family Sundays at home. I am glad I can understand the concept behind it, right? Now, you wrote in the book, being prepared to start from scratch. And then you spoke of oriental mindset. And you also spoke of what is called resentment and fear. And you linked it up to tripartite feelings or emotion. And when I read those passages, I was, for a lack of a better word, I was wowed.
Yeah, firstly, I need to tell you the purpose of the book. I realized that there are some people who are Christians, and yet those people don't go to church. They don't have a pastor. Maybe they've been, you know, to church in the past, and maybe they were disillusioned by something, and then they decided not to go to church. And those people are not catered for.
Oh, okay.
And then I said to myself, those people must be catered for because the purpose of the book is for a parent to lead the family. You know, in terms of the word of God. If you are a mother and a father, the book is meant for you to lead your children, you know, regarding, you know, the word of God. It's an empowerment. It's for, we are catering for those people. We're also catering for people who can't go to church because of COVID-19.
Yes.
You know, that if you can't go to church and you have got there's no pastor before you who's going to tell you the word of God, that book is for you. Now, that's the purpose of that. And I mean, even COVID-19, there are some people who have been disillusioned because of church. For example, I used to belong to one of the churches. And then I became disillusioned because when I had problems, you know, there was no one from the church who came to me to comfort me. And I decided not to go to church anymore. Now, what we must actually understand is there are so many Christians who don't go to church and who are not actually catered for. And that book is for them to be catered for.
Oh, okay. Which is actually very interesting because then they are able to now get the word the word of God from that book. I want us to speak to the concept being prepared to start afresh. Because I find it very interesting. There are a lot of people that, even myself included, there are certain things that I wanted to start, and I decide perhaps let me rather stop. Now, when I read the book, to be honest with you,
Yeah, the first sermon, because the book is meant to be read only on Sundays.
Okay.
You know, throughout the year. Well, we have a sermon for January, February until December. Now, the first sermon in January is about starting from scratch. And then our point of departure is Jacob. That Jacob worked for his wife for 7 years. And after 7 years, was given a wrong wife. He had to start from scratch without actually complaining. And then my argument is that in life, you come across challenges. And when you come across those challenges, you must be prepared to start from scratch.
Okay.
And the original example that I gave, you know, during the Second World War, you know, in America, the people from after that incident, you know, the Japanese who lived in America and also the Chinese, everything that they owned were taken away from them. And after the war, they had to start from scratch. Now you go to America, the China City, those people are still prosperous. And what I'm saying to you is, if for example you have got a setback in your life, be prepared to start from scratch. And we spoke about the feelings as well as emotions.
Yes.
There's a difference between a feeling and emotion.
Yes.
A feeling is a strong emotion, and an emotion is a strong feeling.
Okay. Can you say that again?
Yeah, what I'm saying to you, a feeling is a strong emotion.
Yeah.
And an emotion is a strong feeling. And you spoke about resentment. What is resentment? Resentment is the feeling when I remember that I didn't get my way in the past. For example, a person who was supposed to have, you know, gotten married and the person didn't actually get married in the past.
Yes.
We actually have resentment. I was supposed to have been a manager, but in my life I've never been a manager. Now you have actually resentment. And then fear is the feeling that I have when I don't think I'll get my way into the future.
Oh, yeah.
Fear is about something, you know, the future. This is not going to happen in future. You have got fear. You know, a Harvard, you know, professor once actually spoke about, you know, jealousy. And then jealousy says is the fear that something will be taken away from you.
Oh,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
It's not actually happening. It's just you are fearing, you know, what could actually happen to you in future. And then anger is the feeling I have when I don't get my way into the future. When you think that, you know, you are not going to make it, you become angry. Now there's a difference between resentment, fear, and anger. Yeah.
Okay. Now, yeah, this is very interesting. And then I like how you're describing anger, right? Now, does anger become different from, let's say, a non-Christian's point of view to a Christian person's point of view?
Well, the consequences for anger are the same. Anger creates more problems than it solves. Yeah, whether you're a Christian or you're not a Christian.
All right. Now, before we go, Mr. Mathebula, you promised, Dr. Mathebula, you promised us that you're going to play a game with us a little bit. So Vision is going to actually facilitate that. So I want to get to a point where I want to test your knowledge of hip hop. So obviously, Vision is gonna throw some words or some artists, and I don't even know what Vision is gonna ask.
Well, what Vision is going to do, I don't know what it's going to do, but to me, it's an honor rather than a duty.
All right. So I don't know, Vision. What do you have?
Well, it's just you know, basic questions, you know, for Dr. Mathebula.
Yeah.
Like speaking about your age, my good sir, just to understand hip hop. Can you give me 3 artists that you would say, okay, you can listen to back then and now?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, maybe as a point of departure, my son is, you know, pathological obsessed with, you know, hip hop. To the extent that I used to fight with him until I said, if you can't actually be them, you must actually join them. You know, well, from an old perspective, I know Tupac.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Kanye West.
Okay.
You know, Biggie Small.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. You see, it does not mean that if you're a doctor, you don't know Biggie Small, Tupac, and Kanye West.
Yeah,
I
the goats.
could go on. I could go IQ, Bone Thugs. you know,
Okay, all right.
I can go on and on.
Okay, all right.
So we got names.
We got names. Okay. Because we got names, maybe a song.
From your top three, which was Tupac, Biggie Smalls, and Kanye West, just one song from each.
Yeah, from each.
Well, according to my memory,
Yeah.
you know, changes.
Okay.
From Tupac,
Okay, all right.
and then from Kanye West, Jesus walks.
Okay, for obvious reasons, right?
Obvious reasons.
Okay. Yeah.
And then more money, you know, and problems from Bingy Small.
Okay, you
More
said
money, more problems,
more money,
right?
more problems.
But that one is also spiritual. That, you know,
Yes.
the Bible says that there's nothing wrong with money, but if you're obsessed about money,
Thank you.
that's the sin.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with accumulate, but once you know money becomes negative energy, it becomes a problem. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I can't say that we did not learn. I think for the first time ever in this show, we've just been given a lesson. You know, especially with words. Now, I don't know if Dr. Mathebula would want to make this commitment, right?
Okay.
Seeing that in as far as words are concerned,
Yes.
can we consult him? I mean, for hip hop artists and hip hop listeners?
And the general public.
Yeah, the general public, yeah. Like for instance, at one point in our life, we will want to describe, you know, what is an alliteration.
Simile,
Simile,
metaphor.
what is a metaphor? Because he's a poet as well. He's a writer.
And understand syntax and wordplay.
Exactly.
Paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing and all of these things. Can we call you? Can we then make you our consultant?
You know what?
I don't know if I'm putting you into a spot, but yeah.
You see, I believe in one thing, that service is a rent that we have to pay in order to live on this earth.
Did you hear that?
And then I'm prepared to elect any service, as long as that service is going to improve, you know, mankind.
Aha.
Which it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe in closing, let me borrow language
Yes.
Yes.
from Augustina Neto.
Okay.
I don't say code, I say borrow language.
Hey.
Yes.
Agostino Neto was a revolutionary.
Yes.
And then he said these words, and he said, the revolution will continue. The revolutions will triumph.
Yes.
Although some of us may go, although some of us may be liquidated at the next corner, the revolution has to continue. The revolution has to triumph. And then that's what I'm saying to you guys. I like you, I like the station. And then you are in the revolution. The revolution must go on. The
Exactly.
revolution must
You see, we're revolutionizing radio and the power of media as well.
True.
Now, it is you were listening very carefully, right?
Yes.
It has been implied, right? You see, he's a doctor,
Yes.
so it might be very difficult for you to get a yes answer. But the answer was implied that we will consult.
Meaning we can.
Yes.
Yes.
or maybe let me use the ways of, you know, get through staying, you know, to answer that.
Yes.
There's no answer, there's never be an answer, there'll never be an answer, and that's the answer.
Yeah.
Dr. Mathebula, I would like to say thank you so very much for finding time out of your busy schedule and come here at VMC Planet Radio and chill with us on a Sunday at VMC Planet Radio. And well, all of the best for the book. And where can the people get the book from?
Well, it's from me.
Or from you?
Yeah.
Do you want them to get them through your numbers, or
They can call you, they can call your station or my number. There's no problem. I can give my number on. You know,
oh, okay, and then what is the number?
08 081 031 3619.
3619. 3619. Okay, the number again is 081 031 3619. That is Dr. Mathebula. His book is called Family Sundays at Home, a year of Bible lesson for African families. And what a title, eh?
it's like actual. You know, nowadays artists name their tapes very long and it tells a story from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, but his one sounds like a documentary, autobiography, already without visuals.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Mathebula. We really appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I see some of the messages that are coming through. I will relay them to you even later on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thanks for Mrs. Mathebula for accompanying you. We really appreciate. Do you just want to say hi to somebody, Mrs. Mathebula? I just put you on the spot, but it will be nice. Thank you so much. Yeah. How are you, man?
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. And
I'm very well. Thank you for bringing him to the studio. And who do you just want to shout out to?
to my father,
Yes.
to my mother-in-law,
Yes.
to my baby husband.